this sprint. So a lot of these are the same denominator. Just kind of glance at it and see. So like every other one is the same denominator for a while, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then you skip down, you skip 2, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So the nice thing about these first problems is that you just get to use the fraction that was above. And I'll show you what I mean. So 2/4 minus 1/4 is 1/4, okay? We're subtracting, okay? So then I have to change a half to fourths. Well, if I change a half to fourths, I've been writing it over here, okay? Because I don't have room to write it in between. So this is what I'm thinking. 2 times 2 equals 4. So 1 times 2 equals, guess what? It's the same as the one above it. Yeah. So 2/4 minus 1/4 equals 1/4. So just write this with me and you'll get the hang of it. 2/6 minus 1/6 is 1/6. Look, the 3 needs to be changed to 6, doesn't it? How do I change a third to 6? Take it times what?
Times 3.
2. 3 times 2 equals 6. So I'll take the 1 times 2. So it's going to be 2. Isn't that the same thing I just had? Yeah, so they're kind of helping you. So now I'm going to do 2/6 minus 1/6. Now all this stuff I'm writing over here, it might be a good idea for you to write if you are not understanding me immediately. You know what I mean? That way you can go back and look at your strategy later. Okay, so 2/8 minus 1/8, what's that? 1/8. Now I have to change the fourth to eighths. So 4 times what equals 8?
2.
So I'll take the 1 times 2, 2 eighths. Here's what I did in my mind. I took them both times 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So 2/8 minus 1/8 equals,
1/8.
okay? Now we're on 6/8 minus 1/8.
5/8.
5/8. I wonder if 3/4 is equivalent to 6/8. What do you think? Let's see. So 4 times what equals 8?
2.
2. What's 3 times 2?
6.
It was. So they're helping you, aren't they? So 6/8 minus 1/8 equals
5/8.
5/8. Oh, there's another 3/4. Can I change it to 6/8?
Yes.
6/8 minus 3/8.
Equals 3/8.
Good. Okay, do I need to change anything on number 10? So the answer is 3/10. I wonder if 1/2 is equivalent to 5/10.
Yes. 2/10.
So 5 minus 2 is 3. So they're kind of helping you, aren't they?
Yes.
And they help you all the way till we get to number 31. So let's skip over to 31. No? Wait a minute. When do they quit helping? Let's start with 31. Okay, so 1/3
Times 4.
minus 3/12. Xavier says take 1/3 times 4. Do you agree? 3 times 4 equals 12, because we're trying to get 12s on both of them.
4 times 1 equals 4.
And 1 times 4 equals 4. So 4/12 minus 3/12 equals 1/12. Are you looking up here when I do this?
Yes.
Okay, make sure you're looking. So 2/3 equals blank 12ths. Times what?
4.
Take it times 4. So it's going to be 8/12. 8/12 minus 1/12
Equals 7/12.
equals 7/12. 2/3, have to change it to 12ths? I think I already did.
Yes. 2/4.
8 twelfths. So 8 minus 3 equals,
5.
whoops, so now I wrote an 8. Okay. So 2/3, have I already changed it to twelfths?
Yes.
Okay. So it's going to be 8 twelfths minus 7 twelfths equals 1 twelfth. Fourths, have I changed those to twelfths yet?
Yes.
Not yet, not
Oh,
lately.
times 3 now.
Times 3. So 4 times 3 is 12, 1 times 3 is
Equals
3.
1/12.
3 twelfths minus 2 twelfths equals 1 twelfth. How you doing?
Not bad.
Have I changed fifths to 15ths yet?
No.
How am I going to do that, Katie?
3.
5 times what equals 15?
3.
They already answered for Katie. That's all right. So 1 times 3 equals 3. So I have 3 15ths minus 1
2
15th.
15ths.
Very good.
If she wants to.
Okay, so Katie, what would I take 1/3 times to get to 15?
5.
Okay, so 3 times 5. I don't even have to write this. I'm just writing down my thoughts. Okay, so if I'm changing thirds to 15ths, I'll take 1 times 5. 5 15ths minus 1 15th.
4 15ths.
Okay, so I think we're going to pause it there and set the timer. Okay, answers for side A. I'm going to start with number 12. 3 tenths, 3 tenths, 3 tenths, 1 tenth, 3 tenths, 3 tenths, 1 tenth, 7 tenths, 7 tenths, 3 tenths, 3 tenths, 1 tenth, 1 twelfth, 1 twelfth, 5 twelfths, 5 twelfths, 1 twelfth, 5 twelfths, 5 twelfths. Now I'm going to skip down to number 38. 7 15ths, 2 15ths, 7 twelfths, 7 16ths, 7 15ths, 5 twelfths, 5 twelfths. Okay, answers for side B. 1 tenth, 1 tenth, 1 fourth, 1 fourth, 3 tenths, 3 tenths, 1 tenth, 3 tenths, 3 tenths, 1 tenth, 3 tenths, 3 tenths, 1 tenth, 7 tenths, 7 tenths, 3 tenths, 3 tenths, 1 tenth, 1 eighth, 1 eighth, 5 eighths, 5 eighths, 3 eighths, 4 15ths, 4 15ths, 2 15ths, 2 15ths, 1 15th, 8 15ths, 8 15ths, 1 12th, 7 12ths, 5 12ths, 1 12th, 1 12th, 1 12th, 2 15ths, 8 15ths, 4 15ths, 5 12ths, 5 16ths, 8 15ths, 7 12ths, 7 16ths. So this page, you have 2 number lines. We're just going to ignore the bottom one, okay? And I want you to go ahead and just draw a line right down the middle there.
Of this one?
Yes, problem 1. Just all, because we're going to do two different problems. We're going to do 1 1/2 minus 1/5. And we're going to do 1 1/5 minus 1/2. And we'll just put one of them on the number line.
The easiest one.
Okay, so the first one is the easiest one. Okay? The reason it's the easiest is because 1/2 is larger than 1/5. So let's just say I drew this up here somewhere. Okay? I have 1/2 and I have 1/5. That's not perfect, but you get the idea. Is the larger fraction first? Yeah. And it's quite a bit larger, isn't it?
Yes.
So we can just subtract. We can take the 1 out, put it back in when we're done. So that looks like this, doesn't it? And that was yesterday's lesson and I think the day before. And then we'll make common denominators here for 1/2 and 1/5. And we've been doing this for several days, so I think you know what you're doing. Do me a favor, try and do it yourself, then check it with mine. Don't look at mine as you go. You know what to do, okay? Okay, so do you feel pretty good about that type of problem? Okay.
Yeah.
So the second problem, they switched what around?
They switched the fractions.
The fractions. They switched the fractions around. Okay? So this time, 1/5 is trying to subtract 1/2. Is that going to work?
No.
No, it's not. Because we would end up on the negative side
And then it was
of 0. Okay? So this time, we're going to borrow from the 1.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make that 1, whoops, fifths, not fourths. So I'm going to make that 1 5/5, and then add 1/5. What does that give me? 6/5. Now, didn't that little trick we learned yesterday work the same way? 1 times 5 plus 1 more. So 6/5 minus 1/2. Now I can subtract because I've got a larger fraction in front. Someone in block 2, and it was good. They said, the reason you have to decompose it, are you listening? Is because you can't use the commutative property when you subtract. Was that true?
Yeah.
Otherwise, we just switch those back around, wouldn't we? But you can't do that when you subtract. So do we have the same denominator?
Yes.
Yes.
We get a different answer.
Yes, we do. So 12 minus 5 is 7. Okay? So that's what we're doing today. We're borrowing from the whole number so that we can subtract, and then putting it on a number line. Okay? Let's put this one on a number line. Here's your start right there. That's all you need to start. Just the problem. Okay? So if I need to show 1 1/5, the highest number on my number line needs to be what?
6.
1 1/5. It's a little past 1. 2. Okay? And if my answer's 7/10, what's the smallest number on my number line?
1. No.
0. Why 0?
Because it's not even a.
This is less than
a whole number.
1 whole. Okay? So then we'll put the 1 on. Now my first task is to find 1 1/5, so I'm going to eyeball 1/5. Got here?
Yeah.
Okay. So just put a tick mark there. The next step, is it to subtract 1/2 or to find the answer?
Find the answer.
Find the answer. Okay. Remember Dwayne taught me that? And it's pretty easy to do. So I'm going to try and find 7/10 here. I know it's less than 1 whole. So 5/10 would be half. So 7, about right here?
Yeah.
Okay. You don't have to write anything under it. Oh yeah, you do. You have to write the answer under it. Then you just hop to, from one tick mark to the next tick mark. What did I write a star by?
1 1/5.
That's what I'm putting up there. That's pretty much it. It's going to get a little harder because we're going to add in a second whole number, but the next one is pretty similar. So let's look at the next one. Okay, remember you have 2 number lines, you don't need them both. I have no idea why I put those on there. So rewrite the problem below. Okay, so is my first fraction larger or smaller than my second?
Larger.
Really?
Not larger.
Let's see if we can check it right here. So I'm going to do 3/4 and I'm going to make 6/7. So this would be 3/4. Okay, and 7ths is hard to make. I need 6 lines. And this is 6/7. Now I'm going to ask the question again.
They're equal.
3/4 and 6/7. Which one's larger?
6/7.
6/7. So in that case, we have to borrow from the whole number. So we'll make the whole number 4/4 plus the fraction 3/4. And that would be 7/4. So instead of 1 3/4, we've got 7/4 minus 6/7. Okay, common denominator for 4 and 7. What do you think it is? 28. So 4 times 7 and 7 times 4, correct? Okay, try not to look up until you've got this done. Somewhere, either on your paper or in your head, you'll need to subtract 49 minus 24 to get your answer. So what is it? 25/28. Is that more or less than 1 whole?
Less.
So the first number would be 0. Now we have to figure out the largest number. Here's my star. 1 3/4. Is that less than 2? Okay, so 2 would be the highest. And then put your 1 on.
And then put your 0.
Okay, so 1 3/4. I have to eyeball 1 3/4.
Like right there.
Like right here? Okay. You don't have to write below that. Now the next step is, Dara, what do you think the next step is? Your answer. 25/28. How am I going to eyeball that?
Where the 2 is.
Well, I'm going to think about 28 28s, right? That's one whole. So, pretty close? Okay. So 25 28s and circle it. Yeah, because that's our answer. Then all I do is connect the two tick marks.
And put 1, 3, 4, minus 7.
Very good. 1 3/4 minus 6 sevenths. Okay. So the next problem, we're going to add a second whole number. So instead of one, look up here, instead of one bunny hop, we'll just add another bunny hop to it. Okay? It's not much harder. So when you rewrite the problem this time, you're going to need 5 sets of equal signs.
5?
And I'll explain why in a minute. But let's get it set up.
Because you do the whole number first.
This was like one of them yesterday that we did, I think. So, in this case, you have this much written down?
Yeah.
We're going to need 2 stars because we have 2 bunny hops.
Yeah.
That's the first thing.
Wait, do you need 6 of the ones?
5. Okay, so now here's what I'm going to do. Look up at the board. I'm just going to take out 3.5 minus 2 because that will be my first bunny hop and put it in parentheses.
I did it wrong.
That's going to, yeah, don't do it that way. Abdiel, what's so funny? Okay, so I still have to write the 1/2. So that's going to be my first bunny hop, just what's in parentheses. Okay, my second bunny hop, what's 3 minus 2?
1.
So 1 and, goodness, did anybody else see my mistake?
Yes.
1 and 1/4 minus 1/2. So that's going to help us with the number line. This down here, the last 3, is just to solve the problem. Okay? So 1 and 1/4, is 1/4 too small? So let's decompose it. So 4/4 plus 1/4 would be what? 5/4. Five-fourths minus 1/2. You can choose 8 for your denominator, but you'll have to simplify. Elkin says 4. You agree?
Yes.
Kind of like our sprint today where we just picked the highest number. So my denominator is 4. 4 times 1, because we don't change that one, do we? It stays 5/4. And 2 times what equals 4? 2. So the answer here is 3/4. So if my answer is 3/4,
5.
what's the smallest number on my number line?
0.
0. And then I'm going to look at what I started with, 3 and 1/4, and go above that. So what's my highest number? 4. Because I'm just looking at the 3 here, and I know I have to go a little past the 3, so 4. So then I'm going to put my other whole numbers on. 2, 1, and 3. Now technically we don't need the 2. Yeah, we do. Okay, so 3 1/4, eyeball that.
Right there.
Remember, this is my first bunny hop. Okay, so 3 1/4 is going to go down to what?
1 1/4.
1 1/4. I'm eyeballing 1 1/4 right here. Connect your tick marks. You're okay. Eyeball 1 1/4. So this is 3 1/4
Minus 2.
minus 2. Great. Now, my second bunny hop is that second star. I'm already on 1 1/4. I have to subtract a half. What's my strategy for that, Jesus? Do I just try and figure out 1/2, or do I have a trick for that? What's my trick?
Do you go forward? Oh, you go to the answer.
Go to the answer. Okay, so I'm going to eyeball 3/4 and write it down. Circle it. And then I just connect the tick marks. What do I write above it?
1/2.
You're close.
1 1/4 minus 1 1/2.
We have to go ahead and write the fraction we started with because we didn't write that underneath. And if we did write it underneath, I think it would get too jumbled up.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do one more like this. Okay, same thing. Looks like we've got two whole numbers. So you're going to rewrite the problem and put 5 equal signs underneath. We're going to have 2 stars again. Okay, so who wants to raise your hand if you can figure out what needs to go in this parentheses right here? George A.
4 1/2 minus 3.
Good. That's what we'll write above our first bunny hop. What do I do with the 2/3?
You put in the end.
Put it at the end. Okay, now I'm going to subtract 4 minus 3. What is it?
1
1. 1 and 1/2 minus
2 and
2/3. That's what's going to be on my second bunny hop. Now I solved the problem. Okay, to solve this problem, 1/2 is less than 2/3. So I have to decompose it. 2 halves plus 1/2 on what's that?
3 halves.
3 halves. Now this one's easy to get confused on because you've got 3 halves and then you got 2/3. Just kind of switched around, aren't they? Okay, what's your common denominator?
6.
So my answer is 5/6. This part's pretty easy for us now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so if my answer is 5/6, what's the lowest number on the number line?
0.
0. And if I'm starting with 4 1/2, what does the highest number need to be? 5. Now, I don't think I'm going to need all those numbers. I'm going to need the 4 because I have to show 4 1/2. I'm going to need a 1 and a 2, but I don't think I need a 3. So here's a decision we need to make. Do we want to put all the numbers between 5 and 0, or do we want to skip the ones we don't need?
Skip the ones we don't need.
So we'll skip probably the 3, okay? I need the 4 because I've got to show 4 1/2 when I start. And I need a 1 and a 2 because I need to show 1 1/2. But if I just skip the 3, is that okay?
Yes.
I think it'll work. Okay, so I'm going to start with 4.5. That's easy to find, isn't it? And I'm going to go down to 1.5.
That's a 1.
And connect those tick marks. Vaughn, what do I write on top? Right here.
Minus
-3, but do I need the first part now? This is different than the addition. 4.5 minus 3. Cadence, how do I find 5/6? Think of 6 sixes, 1 whole. So, here. Okay. Connect my tick marks. Write your answer. Emily, what do I write above that bunny hop? Second star.
1.5 minus 2/3.
Okay, that's it. That's the lesson today.
Let's go.